also he made an interesting point that the defense sector is the biggest use of state-of-art technologies. Hence, there is a shift in the art of war and peace. Therefore, these new technologies are constantly shaping the new threats. And in order to face these challenges, defense planners should also have the capacity to adapt and innovate. And then we had the last presentation by Dr. Harinder Vidanage. He talked about the securitization and weaponization of cyberspace and allied technologies. And also he mentioned about the post-facto or post-fact society. And in fact, even earlier, there is a general understanding that history is governed not only by facts but also by perceptions. But nowadays, because of the social media and other technological problems, these misinformation is increasingly damaging the society, and it's a very interesting concept, this post-fact society. And also he pointed out this proliferation of technologies have the potential to curtail human freedom, and it's a threat to democracy. It can be a threat to democracy. So there are a lot of ideas they have discussed about, so now the floor is open to questions. You can name the speaker you want to hear from, or you can pose a question to the panel. Thank you.
The chair is pointing towards me and asking you to name the speaker.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Chair, my question is to General Bhatia and to General Ali together and separately, collectively and separately. My name is Megha. General Bhatia, you mentioned very categorically that the Afghanistan-Pakistan region is globally recognized as a hub of terrorism. We have had instances where Pakistan had been a huge supporter of combating terrorism even in Sri Lanka, and also talks between US and Afghanistan. The list can go on. So on what exact official information, General Bhatia, that you qualify Afghanistan-Pakistan region as the hub of terrorism, and also General Ali's opinion on the same, and also the National Counterterrorism Authority that we spoke about, if you can shed some light on that. And also my final question, when would we have the pleasure of seeing you two big brothers of this region coming into some consensus, militarily and politically, in the interest of security and cooperation in this region? Thank you.
Who will start?
Thank you for the question. AFPAC region, the epicenter of global terrorism, we have enough conclusive proof as to where did 9/11 happen, where did it get planned. Most of the terrorist organizations which are there, whether you call it the Al-Qaeda or the ISIS or the Taliban or the Jaish-e-Mohammed, they've been globally now banned, they've been called terrorist organizations. The proof of the funding, the FATF reports, all point towards this region being the most disturbed. There are also reports that anything happening, be it the Madrid bombing, be it anything happening in Spain or France or the South Asian region, the ISIS footprints found in Manila or in all point towards this particular region. You would also see that the funding, which is if you trail the banking trail or the hawala or the finances which are coming in, all have some kind of a genesis in this region. Also, you see, it is not only perceptions that we are seeing. We have proofs which are by way of intercepts, by way of our own Mumbai attacks, from where they got shaped, the Pulwama attacks, how the orders were passed. There are visible proofs of all these things happening. And you see, if you spawn, Hillary Clinton said that if you spawn snakes in your backyard, they will bite you. So it is biting someone. That is happening. So these are all based on facts and figures. However, we haven't yet reached a consensus on what is a terrorist organization or how to define terrorism. Because that fact is also true, that someone's terrorist is someone's freedom fighter. But I think the world has moved beyond that. We are not talking of good terrorists and bad terrorists. We are talking of anyone who's using terror as an instrument to kill, to maim, or to convey a message is a terrorist. There is no good or bad terrorist. So we've gone beyond that. The world is, I think, acknowledging this. And everywhere that you see, you find this region being there, being called as the hub of terrorism. Now the second question, when will we become friends? Well, who knew that after the World War, that Germany will be the growth engine of Europe? So when you talk of states, 50 years, 100 years don't actually matter. But what matters, so 70 years from now, maybe we could be sitting on the same table and talking like friends. We still talk like friends. We were having dinner yesterday. People to people, I think there's no problem. We are more than friends. I was almost 3 years as a brigadier in Islamabad. So I know that when we talk, so many linkages are there. But there is a policy. There is that anyone who supports terrorism, we will not talk to them. So let the terrorism be taken care of, and there will be tremendous amount of convergence which can happen. So that is the stated policy, and I think because people to people, the contacts have been stymied, they have been broken because of facts like this. But you talk of my relatives in US, they would have Pakistanis as the best friends. So it is not people to people. It is, I think, the states and the policies which are being adopted by the state, which is the problem.
Not people to people, but you said anything that happens in France or Spain or anywhere, so this is the region that should...
There is some kind of a linkage when you see that either there is a diaspora which is there, or there is some Pakistan origin or Afghanistan origin which is there. You may Google it, you will find that there is some kind of a trace which comes into this area. I would say that if 30 of our ISIS, our people joined ISIS, you could have Google the number which have joined from this region, the ISIS, and to fight in the Middle East. You could have their figure, you could Google it.
I'm asking for official information, General, being a high officer in the...
There are various portals which give this, the conflict studies which trace that something happening in UK or Madrid. I don't know which part of the world are you from, but if you Google it, you'll find some kind of a linkage is always coming into this region. In fact, the recent Easter bombings of this area, someone alluded to it also, had some traces going to that part of the world. So
private information, yes, but no official information.
Your and my perception is different as to what is official. Yeah, I'll take your point.
I didn't want to indulge into this talk, but you have forced me. I've taken such things from out of my script, so I wanted to keep it very impartial. But now when you have asked a question, a very specific question, the epicenter, as I said, who is to define which is the epicenter? I mean, it has to be the concrete proof. If somebody is caught red-handed, a serving naval officer who is caught red-handed, I am talking about the Commander Kulbhushan Yadav, and who commits in front of everybody, and who commits that he has been involved in the terrorist activities in the Balochistan part of Pakistan and into the other parts of Pakistan, and he was heading a terrorism network which was, causing terrorism inside Pakistan. So where you should think of the epicenter lies. So it's not as simple as it is being told. We don't work on the guessworks that there have been proofs, there have been, if there have been proofs, how could after 1 hour or after 30 minutes of the Pulwama incident, you come onto the screen and start blaming Pakistan, that Pakistan is involved, without any investigation, without any proof of any sort. And after that, you can concoct the proofs, whatever you can. We're talking of the new technologies, and you just seen the deep face. So that can be done. The technologies can be used to its usage wherever one feels like. So it's not as simple. What I'm saying is that if you go back into the 70s, late 70s and 80s, these were people in Afghanistan who were being supported by the West and especially by America. They were the darling of America, and they were fighting their war against Russia, and they were stopping, and they were the main cause of disintegration of Russia. At that very point in time, they were known as Mujahideens. After the Russian left, they were also left unattended. Nothing was done for those people, I'm talking about. So some of them remained in Afghanistan, some of them, they came to the border areas of Pakistan. So I have given the figures, they are not friends of anybody. They are the enemies of humanity. They have been causing and they have been doing terrorist activities inside Pakistan. The most affected nation of the world is Pakistan. Despite all that, we have for the world peace, we have accepted to be the front state of against the terrorism attack, against the war on terrorism. And in that very war, as I told and I alluded to earlier, we have suffered over 81,000 casualties. It is not as simple. Last week I was in Copenhagen, and they were saying that in the West, they have suffered the maximum casualties in Afghanistan. I said, how many? They said 43. So 43 casualties were the maximum in the Western world, for Copenhagen people. And I said, do you know how many casualties my nation has suffered? It is 81,000. And he was just astonished, and he was just taken aback. I'm talking about the defense minister over there. So what I'm saying is, it's not as simple as it is. It's a menace which needs to be fought at all costs. It is a menace which needs to be eradicated. It's a hydra, as I said earlier.